didn't catch it.
I am from
Bye.
Kyrgyzstan.
From where?
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, near Kazakhstan.
Oh, I have never heard that of the name of that country before. Right near, where is it near?
I am here, Kyrgyzstan, and near country Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan.
Ah, awesome. Welcome, welcome. Glad
Yeah.
you're here. And is this the first time that you have joined this meeting?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So think of any questions that you might have. I can answer any questions. I want to be clear, though. I am not a certified English teacher, and I do not formally prepare people for IELTS exams. I help you with your communication. I'm a speech coach, so I can help you with your English language, which will help you on your exams, but I am not trained to help you on your exams. I'm not certified as an English teacher, just to be very clear. But I'm a native English speaker, and I also train native English speakers and non-native English speakers to give formal speeches from the stage. So I can help you with confidence and with conversation, and also with giving speeches from the stage. So just want to be clear about that. It takes a very special certification to train to be an English teacher. You usually have to be certified in TOEFL certified. And so I want to caution you, because there are many people out there that say that they are English teachers, and they shouldn't be, because they are not certified. If you are not certified, then you can't call yourself an English teacher. So many people, this one man was charging a lot of money, and he couldn't speak English. He could not answer a question in a written format that was in proper English grammar. And yet he was receiving money for being an English teacher. So just be careful, be cautious of who you hire. Okay, back to you, Shashiraj.
They've got the paper. They've got the paper. So by showing the paper, they are able to catch the clients.
Okay.
Papers, that means they've got the certificate. It doesn't matter they are able to speak or not. They are able to teach or not, but they have got the certificate. So because of
this person didn't have a certificate. He didn't have a certificate. He just called himself an English teacher and charged people, and he was making a lot of money. So check their certification. If they have proper certification, then maybe they're reliable, but check it, because he didn't produce any certification training.
Okay. So guys, as I told you, as I introduced you already about the Cynthia Stott, she's from US. She has already told that she doesn't have any kind of certificate of teaching English language, and she is not formal trainer of IELTS aspirants, but she still can guide you all. She is from US, she's a native speaker, so she could give better experience about how to be fluent in English language and how to be fluent, or how to build up the confidence on stage. And you could also remove your stage fright. Whatever fear you have before moving to the stage, sometimes you feel that you can speak wrong sentences, or you can forget the idea, you can forget the contents which you have already prepared. So she could give better answer of those questions. So if you have any questions in your mind, anything, you can ask to Cynthia Stott. It's a golden opportunity for you all people. So we have one participant, Alam. He's raising his hand, so he wants to ask some questions to you. Yes, Alam.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me opportunity. Okay, I have a question to Stott, and you are just talking about confidence. So confidence doesn't come in one day. It takes time. I mean, over time. So how we rebuild our confidence within short moment? What do you think about this?
Great. So there's two questions here. In the short term, how do you present confidently? And in the long term, how do you build your confidence? Is that your 2 questions? Great. Excellent. Well, I would say I'm going to answer the long term first. The long term, you just need to speak. Just speak. Just try it. Even if you're going to say the wrong words, even if you're going to have the wrong grammar, don't worry about that. Just speak, and speak as often as you can in English, and listen as often as you can in English, especially listen to native English speakers. You can listen to movies, you can listen to videos. I have a WhatsApp group that I post a lot of training with native English speakers, because listening to the native English speakers will train your brain and your ears. That's very, very important. But speak with whoever as often as you can. Every day you should speak. It's like eating or exercise. You got to do it every day. You can't just do a big spurt and then go a long time with no food. That's not healthy. Same thing with English speaking. Speak as often as you can, even for a short time. Very important. And then the short-term answer, this is something I gave last time. It's kind of a strange question. The short-term answer with confidence is something you can do with your body, physical body, that will make you more confident, relaxed, grounded, and better able to connect with people. There's 2 parts to it. The first part is to speak from your heart and listen from your heart. If you tap into your heart, all humans have a heart. And the heart is an ancient organ. It was developed long before language, English, Pakistani, any language. You know, you think ancient languages like Chinese, even Egyptian, but the heart was there before. And the heart speaks the language of humans. So even if you don't know the other person's language and they don't know your language, if you can really tap into your heart, you can communicate. You can communicate. And I had that experience myself. My husband and I were in Japan, and we went to Japan for the food. We love Japanese food. We love sushi, but we didn't know the language. But we thought, what the heck, we'll go anyway. And we spent 3 weeks there. And one night we were at dinner at a teppanyaki place where they cook at the grill in front of you, you know, so the chef is right in front of you. And culturally, it's a little different in America than it is in Japan. And couples don't hold hands or show public displays of affection in Japan. But my husband and I were holding hands. We thought slyly, secretly under the table. We're holding hands. And we didn't think anyone would notice. Well, our chef noticed. And he thought it was so cute. He actually made our rice into a big heart and served us from there. And he just thought it was really cute. And we stopped holding hands. We were a little embarrassed that he saw us. But he was able to convey that back and forth. And then he was working with us, and then he took a break and he went over to one of the Japanese customers. And I know he was talking about us and, hey, they were so cute. They were holding hands under the table. So we were able to have a real communication, a real heartfelt communication, even though we didn't speak his language, he didn't speak our language, very limited language we spoke. We were able to communicate. And that was in 2003. So here it is, almost 20 years later. And I can remember that conversation that I had with someone who didn't speak my language, and I didn't speak their language, because we used the communication from the heart, and we had human language communication. And there's so much more than verbal. It can be body language, you gestures. He made the rice into the heart. That wasn't like a body language. He was conveying it in symbols. And also your eye contact and your smile and how you relate to that other person beyond language. And that can, if you have English, then, and it's not as, you aren't as fluent with it as you would like to be, using the language of the heart to enhance your communication. Because I think speaking communication, it's not about language, it's about communication, which means I understand you and you understand me. And you can do that without language. So add that component to it in order to make it better. Does that make sense, Olam?
Yes, thank you very much. I got a lot of things from your speech.
Great. I have
And
one more to give
it's
you.
really helped me. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Thank
So
you
it's
very
really
much.
3 parts. Yeah. So long-term confidence and then short-term confidence has 2 components. One is speak from the heart, one listen with the heart. So it's communication with the heart, and that will help your English. It will be amazing how much better you will be at English if you use your heart. And I teach a class called Speak from Your Heart. And I help people to connect more with their heart. Especially, I teach people from the stage to connect with their audience with their heart. Like you might feel that I'm speaking just to you. Do you feel that? All of you. Because I'm looking at the camera and I'm connecting with you. And in my mind, I'm imagining that I'm speaking to each one of you individually, not as a group. And you feel that. And I teach that from the stage. So also from the stage is stage fright. It can come in anytime. Even if you're an experienced speaker, maybe sometimes I was very confident speaking on the stage. And then I was in front of another group of people. I was joining a board of directors, which is it wasn't a company, it was an association. And I sat on their nonprofit board. And I was with all of these other women that were high-powered women, that were engineers, city planners. They even planned the entire airport. They were responsible. One was responsible for the Baltimore airport near Washington, D.C. Another was in charge of the BART, which is Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is the trains that run in San Francisco Bay Area. So they were very high powered and I was so nervous. So I used this technique. And it's a very strange technique, but it works. And hey, if it works, use it. It doesn't matter what it is. So I had a friend who was part of a scientific study to study how the brain is affected, how it changes in fear, with the focus on how can we make it better? How can we reduce the effect of fear on the brain? So in the scientific study, they put her inside a CT scan, and I still don't know what that stands for. I haven't looked it up, but it's a big medical machine, and they slide you in and slide you out, and it's a little tight. You have to stay very, very still, and if you're claustrophobic, it can make you nervous. Just in and of itself. So they slid her in there, and they took a picture of her brain, which may have been affected by the claustrophobia. And they wanted to have a baseline, what she normally is. So they took that picture of her brain. They showed her some scary pictures. I don't know what they showed her. I don't want to know what they showed her, but they showed her scary pictures that made her frightened. And they took her picture of her brain again, and it changed. It absolutely changed. The chemicals in the brain change, the physicality of the brain change, and they can actually take a picture. Then they told her something strange. And what you can do, they told her, to wiggle her toes. Move her toes back and forth. Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And you can do this. People won't even see you on the stage if you don't have open-toed shoes. So wiggle your toes. And it changed her brain. Her brain chemistry changed and the physicality of it changed. They could see the change in the picture. So when you're frightened, or especially before you're going to do something that's going to make you nervous, even a one-on-one conversation with your boss or with your spouse, just breathe, relax. And I say to move your mind, your mind, let it slip down to your feet. Don't look at your feet, but allow your mind to just slip down and rest at your feet. Focus on your feet. Wiggle your toes, and you will be more confident. Your brain will change, and your attitude will change, and your behavior will change. Great. Does that help? People are private messaging me, and I'm sorry, I can't read a private message. So you right now, because I'm talking. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about etiquette. Etiquette is really important. So don't private message a speaker when they're speaking. That's very distracting and it's rude. So don't do that. If you want to present a question or a message, put it in the everyone text, and then Shashiraj can read it for me, right, Shashiraj?
Exactly.
And that will be proper etiquette. Another thing, many people, especially recently, have been calling me and video messaging me without sending a message first, a text. And I block those people. Automatically, I will block those people. So if you want to contact me, text me first. Do not call me and do not video call me, especially. That is extremely rude and very bad behavior. And you will be blocked many places for doing that. So don't do that, okay? If you want to talk to me, you can message me privately and just say what you want to say. And don't say hi, and then I say hi, and then you say hi, and then I say hi, and then you say, how are you doing? And I say, how are you doing? I'm not going to talk with you unless you tell me exactly what you want to say. That's part of confidence and being bold and speaking up. Say what you want to say. So I'm not going to play cat and mouse anymore. I have been patient with people in the past and have done that, but I just don't have any time. So I don't have time if you play cat and mouse. And I am very similar to other people. Don't do that. Say what you want to say. Be bold. Say, hi, how are you doing? I'm so-and-so from such and such country, and I am a non-native English speaker, whatever you want to say. I would like to talk with you. Whatever you want to say, come out and say it. Just be bold. And on this call, please be bold. Please be bold and say what you want to say and ask what you want to ask. Even if you don't know the right words to use, it doesn't matter. Just say what you want to say and be bold. Thank you. Okay, Shashiraj, back to you.
Thank you very much. So guys, whatever questions, queries you have, you can text your messages and I would reply you, right? It's better to have interaction. Raise your hand and I would allow you to speak. You're here to speak. You're not here for texting. I have just given this option to you just sometimes if you don't get a chance to speak. But here I would try to give you a chance to speak, to ask questions to Cynthia. Like, okay, so the thing is this. I request you all people, please turn on your camera. Everyone. Because you are here to learn something and we have just turned off your camera, we cannot watch you, right? We can't watch you. You are here to build up your confidence. When you will be speaking, so we can watch your facial expressions, how you are speaking, in what manner you are sitting, like in what position you are well dressed up, or you have prepared yourself, or you're just lying on your bed or talking to us. So you should be formally talking with us. Thank you very much for opening your camera. So one participant, Siku, is raising his hand. So yes, Siku, you can ask your question.
Thank you for giving the chance, sir. And I will ask to stop.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Your
Siku,
microphone?
Siku, your voice is not clear.
I think it's my connection problem, sir. Sorry for that.
I can hear you fine now. You have to be close to your microphone.
Okay, it's already in my microphone. Yeah.
Okay.
I will ask you a question, ma'am. When you try to ask some question with the speaker or some like participant, will feel that I'm afraid. So how will we control to ourselves?
Didn't quite get that.
Advice?
So
Okay.
your question is when you're talking to someone else, and then I didn't hear the rest of the question. Did you hear it, Shashiraj?
Yeah, sometimes he forget the ideas. He doesn't have confidence to talk with strangers, with new people. Is that your question, Siku?
Exactly. Yes. We'll feel afraid.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're afraid with them. Yes. And anxious and worried. Yeah. And maybe even if you spoke in your own language, your own mother tongue, you wouldn't be able to speak very well either because you're nervous. So it's really about your fear and anxiety. It's not about your English at that point. Because your English, if you have a wrong word here and there, or if you have your grammar isn't right, that can be worked with. But when we have fear, it actually causes confusion in our brain. And it can cause you to forget your words. So I always tell my speakers that speak on stage, and that happens. It happens that you forget your words. And I always tell them, pause, breathe, focus on your feet, wiggle your toes. And then usually that information comes back to them. Their words come back. And last time I told a story about one of my fellow Toastmasters who was from India, but he lived in America, and he used to work for Cisco. And he was a Toastmaster at Cisco. And he was giving a speech, and he had 3 points. And he gave his first point very confidently, and then boom, the message went out of his head. And he forgot his second and third points. So he paused, breathed, and he remembered what he was going to say. And probably if he had wiggled his toes, if he had known about that, he could wiggle his toes and he could think of the information even sooner. And so he went on with his second point and his third point, and they finished his speech. Well, we have evaluators at Toastmasters. And he was afraid that the evaluators say, you had a long pause. You forgot your word, blah, 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 blah. But he didn't. The evaluator actually said, great pause between points 1 and 2. What happened to your pause between points 2 and 3? So his mistake was actually the best part of his speech. So that's one lesson that you can learn is that pausing is good. Speaking deliberately and enunciating and speaking slower is also good, because if you speak slower and pause, you will sound more confident. It'll even make you more confident than if you speak fast and kind of try to throw out all your words before you have to be finished and then you're done. And no one can understand you that way. So if you speak more deliberately and more enunciating, like if you can hear my words, I enunciate every word and you can understand me better. And I speak a little slower. I don't talk like most native English speakers where they're talking really fast and you can't understand them and they run. And they even don't enunciate what their words are. Slow down and they will slow down. So if you are talking with someone that's new, while they're talking, bring your mind to your feet. Focus on your feet. Wiggle your toes. Breathe. And when they stop talking, you can answer. And sometimes if you tap into your heart, there's a message coming in that you have to have pause and be silent, even in your head, so you can hear that message from your intuition or from God, source, whatever you want to call it. Those deeper messages are from the still, small voice that doesn't usually speak loudly. So if you quiet your mind and close your mouth, you can hear them and you can speak them. And sometimes, even when I'm on the stage, I will pause because I hear something coming in. I feel something like some disturbance, something saying, hello, I want to say something. So I pause and I listen in. And sometimes if it's a little longer, I even say, I'm just checking in with myself to see how I want to respond. And sometimes I will get a message and maybe it doesn't even make sense to me. I'm like, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I am. It's coming to me, so I'm going to say it. And then when I say it, it's powerful information for at least one person in the audience. And I've said to them, I'm not sure why I said that. I don't know if it was meant for someone, but my intuition, my inner voice, my heart told me I needed to say that, tell that story, convey that information. And I'll say, maybe it was for you and maybe it wasn't. But I listened to my intuition. I listened to my heart. And almost always I have like 5 people coming up to me afterwards and saying, that message was for me. I needed to hear that today. So you can do the same thing when you tap into your heart and listen. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for your suggestion, ma'am. We'll try to follow your rules. I'm very appreciative to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your advice, ma'am.
You're
Thank you very
welcome. My pleasure.
There is one question from Alale. Alale, could you ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Hello, Cynthia. My
Hi.
question is that sometimes, hi. Sometimes I speak fluent and I care about fluency. I transfer whatever I want to say, but unfortunately, I lack accuracy. I have some mistakes, grammatical mistakes. Some people say that it's not important, but for me as a teacher, it's important because my student listen to me. And if I have some grammatical mistakes, it could be strange and damage. So how we can improve our accuracy?
So I really appreciate what you just said. You're concerned not so much by how you look, but you're concerned that your students will hear the bad grammar and repeat it. Is that right? That they will learn bad grammar from you. That's what you're concerned about. And that's beautiful. That's really powerful. That's what you want. Number one, I would be honest with your students. I would tell them, like you, I'm learning. I'm not a native English speaker, and English is new to me. How many years you've been learning? You could tell them that. Even if they're small children, they will understand. And say, sometimes my words are going to be incorrect. I'm going to give you the wrong language. And I'm sorry for that. And I apologize ahead of time. But what I'm going to show you is that I am willing to make mistakes, which is so important. And I'm willing to speak, even though I'm not perfect. And I want you to do the same. I want you to speak. I want you to be bold and confident and speak, even if you have bad grammar. I want you to speak, and you will help your students so much more by saying that, by being honest and vulnerable with them. That's the first thing. Second thing is, you can't ride a bike while you're reading a book about riding a bike or thinking about riding a bike. You just need to ride it. Now, you can study outside. You can study about the bicycle when you're not riding the bicycle. You could study about riding the bicycle and learn more about it, learn about its mechanics and how to fix it and all these things. But you don't do that while you're riding a bike. You just ride it. Same thing with English. Learn your grammar, study your vocabulary, study your idioms. Idioms, really important, because idioms by nature don't make sense. They're something different. So you have to kind of memorize them to get familiar with them. So study your idioms, study your verbs, study your grammar. And then while you speak, just speak. And maybe you'll catch that you said a wrong word or not, but it doesn't matter as much. Just speak, just speak. Like riding the bike, you get on the bike and you just ride. You just keep riding. You don't think about, oh gosh, where am I going? I'm turning it this way. I'm turning it that. You just think about riding the bike. Just go forward and ride the bike. So one thing that I can offer you that can really make a big difference is Toastmasters. And in my WhatsApp group and actually in other groups I share, like in the global, the group that Shashiraj runs, I post my Toastmasters meetings in there too. And at these Toastmasters meetings, they're all in English. Some are in foreign countries and or even in America where non-native English speakers are speaking. But many of the ones that I share, they're native English speakers speaking. And in Toastmasters, well, I talked about that we have an evaluator. So when you speak, every time you speak, you get an evaluation. You hear what they thought you did well and your stretch goals. I call them your strengths and stretch goals. What you can improve, what you could change to make your speech even better. And I try to not say weaknesses or areas of improvement, but stretch goals for how you could make this great speech that you've just given even better. So we have a formal evaluator, and then we have another team of evaluators. We have a timer, which evaluates your time, how long you took, if you were within time or without time. Also, we have what's called a grammarian, awe counter, and word of the day. And usually that's one person, or it can be divided up into two people. And sometimes they even have a language evaluator, they call it. And the grammarian or language evaluator would assess, did you have good language? Did you have good grammar? Did you have bad grammar that we can improve? You said this and you should have said that, so that you can know, catch when you did it. We also have a word of the day, so you can expand your vocabulary. Now, some Toastmasters, especially longtime Toastmasters that are native English speakers, will come up with these, I will call them obscure, very unique, very unheard of before words. And I don't think that's good. I don't allow that at my club, which is Leaders Worldwide, which is 50% foreign nationals standing in other countries. It's 50% of our people are not American and they are not native English speakers. And I thought that would be too challenging. And it doesn't really make sense to teach someone really unusual words that the person hearing them will have to look them up in the dictionary in order to understand what they're saying. No, much better to use a simple word, an accessible word. And then the challenge would be, put that into your speech today. Put that into your report today. When the timers report, you give the timers report, you're going to give that word of the day. And that works so much better. And the last thing that they do is the counting. The when you talk, when you should just keep your mouth shut. When you're thinking, you should keep your mouth shut, be silent, have a pause, not say and they count those for you. And when I had my very first table topic speech, which is an impromptu speech where you answer a question for 1 to 2 minutes, I spoke for 1 minute, 36 seconds, very short. And I had 22 ums and ahs. 22. So I wasn't confident speaking. And so I was nervous. And so I kept saying, and so, and they catch that for you. And they reflect it back to you so you can improve. And now I don't say very many ahs, uhs, ums, ers in my speech because I tend to pause instead of speaking those filler words, as they're called. So at Toastmasters, you can get training in English, and anyone with a Zoom link can attend, and you can listen in, which is the most important thing. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listening is most important, especially for listening to good grammar and native English speaking, so you get the accent. Listening in is important. So you can listen in and hear everything that's going on. And then you also, you get a chance to introduce yourself. Usually they will invite you to introduce you and wait for the invitation. Do not unmute your mic and say, hi, I have an English question. No. You stay silent, stay muted, and listen. Listen carefully. And then when they invite you to speak, either to introduce yourself or for something called table topics, it's an impromptu speech, like I said, for 1 to 2 minutes. And you just answer the question for the few minutes. And there have been several non-native English speakers coming to Toastmasters, and they won Best Speaker for Table Topics. I was amazed. They did such a great job. And maybe their grammar wasn't perfect, but they were willing to answer that question. And they were able to communicate that answer to the listeners, to the native English speakers or non-native English speakers, and they were bold. So they were rewarded with the Best Speaker Award for Table Topics. So hopefully you can listen in on those. If you want to be able to give a prepared speech, usually between 5 to 7 minutes and even up to 20 minutes when you're going to the higher levels, then you have to join as a member. But when you join as a member, you automatically are going to get a mentor that can speak with you and review your language, review your speech for free. It's included in the cost of your membership. So I've been matching non-native English speakers, especially with these clubs that are smaller so that you can get more attention and have more opportunity to speak. And they are native English speakers. So I have Toastmasters clubs that are located in cities, well, they're not really cities, they're towns where there are more trees than people. And they're native English speakers. They may have never even traveled outside of their state or much less their country. And they're willing to mentor you on your speaking. So it's a wonderful opportunity for non-native English speakers to advance their speaking, to be sort of in. So they say that you become most like the 5 people you hang out with, the 5 friends or family members, colleagues. You listen to them and you emulate them. You copy them. We have mirror neurons, so we reflect each other. And so this is a way to add to your 5 people where you can meet with native English speakers and have a mentor one-on-one, where you meet with them once. Most clubs meet once a week. We only meet four times a month, but most clubs meet once a week. And then on top of that, you could meet your mentor outside. But try to bring your 5 people, try to bring at least one person that you speak with regularly, like once a week or once every other week, that is a native English speaker or a speaker, a non-native English speaker that has really good grammar and really good accent, so that you can improve your listening. It's not as much, it's not as important your speaking, because that will come later, but you need to listen to a proper accent and grammar so that you can learn it and train your brain with that information. So it's true what you're saying about not if you speak improperly with the bad grammar or not good pronunciation, that your students will hear that and they will probably emulate that. But you know, you're human and you got to let them know that, because they are like you. They are learners. You are a learner, and they will be more bold, more confident if you are honest with them and you tell them that, and it's okay to make mistakes. In fact, you can improve much more if you're willing to make mistakes and you speak often and you speak boldly and you speak confidently. Does that help?
Thank you very much, Cynthia. That helps a lot. And you know, one participant is asking one questions to you, but answering one question's answer, you give a lot of ideas related to all the things which are related to that question. So in this way, participants, they are able to know more about the question's answer and other things as well. All right. So we have 3 participants. They are raising their hands. So Marcel is raising his hand. So Marcel, you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Shashira and Madam Cynthia, who have given me chance to speak and some question. Okay, the first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Marcel from Indonesia, and maybe I already joined this group, but seldom to follow every night because I have many activity at my office. So I want to talk about in Indonesia. In Indonesia, there are many languages and there are many culture and tribe. I myself, I from Flores Island, because Flores Island and Java Island is so different about language and different about culture and dialect to talk about mother tongue. So in Indonesia, there are many languages, and then there are many dialect, accent, and so on. So I stay at Jakarta, capital Indonesia. So here in speak in national language, Indonesia language, I mean. So my problem here about learn English, maybe I have learned for 5 years, but I never continue to learn about grammatical and so on. So my big challenging here that if Madam Cynthia speak, if I got the new vocabulary, I directly confused. I don't understand to follow about the contest about the speak what the Madam Cynthia speak. I mean if I have got some vocabulary, new vocabulary, and I cannot understand about the vocabulary. So my brain at my concentrate lost. I mean, so maybe because I seldom to practice English because in my office always speak Indonesia, and then I learn about the online something like this, but never follow. And the second question is I mean how to make easy to learn, because my what I mean, my pronunciation or my dialect, my pronunciation to mention about one word, it is influenced by my mother tongue, I mean.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it is influenced by my mother tongue. So it's very difficult to follow about, for example, American style and British style. If Shashiraj speak, I understood, because maybe with the same in Indonesia, I mean. But it's very difficult to understood if Madam Cynthia speak at American style and British style. Is very complicated to follow about the word by word and sentence by sentence. But Asia, I understood what they mentioned, because the pronunciation with still the same, I mean. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much, Madam Cynthia.
Great. And you did a great job conveying the information, asking your questions. It's great. So you're right about Shashiraj, that you may understand him better, and probably he uses more simple words. Because I'm educated too, I try not to use unusual words, but I can't help it. They slip out, like obscure. The word obscure means unusual, very different, very kind of something you haven't heard before usually. So as a native English speaker, I use vocabulary that you might not be familiar with, whereas Shashiraj primarily uses vocabulary that you're familiar with. He also, I'm using Shashiraj as an example, if that's okay, Shashiraj. Is that okay?
That's okay. It could be the better medium to convey the messages to him and other participants as well.
Yeah, because when you do explain it, if it's in English, even though your language is different than his, because he's from Indonesia and you're from India, you probably convey it more in picture words. Do you know what I mean? That descriptive words, like the first time you said stage fear instead of stage fright. Stage fear is very descriptive. Everyone knew what you were talking about, but they might not quite know stage fright. It's not as familiar. Fright is not as familiar as fear. So you use words that are very familiar, very common, and create imagery in the brain. And that's very important for helping other non-native English speakers to get your understanding. And actually, when I speak with non-native English speakers, I tend to speak a little worse English, actually, than I normally do, because I'm trying to convey a picture. And it may not come out grammatically correct. But what's important is communication. So I'm using a combination of English and the language of the heart, which is the human understanding, which is more symbol based, more visual, more evoking the understanding by creating a picture. The other question you had, what I forget now. It's helpful if you let me answer one question at a time. What was your first question?
First question was that he cannot remember the words, typical words. This was his first question.
Okay. So not remembering. So again, not remembering really helps with wiggling your toes, breathing, relaxing, putting your mind at your feet so you're grounded and centered. You were a little bit, when you were talking, you were a little bit, your body was kind of shifting around and your eyes were shifting around. So it's helpful if you can put your mind at your feet and stay steady and breathe and relax and speak deliberately, more slowly, so that you can remember the words that you're going to say and get them out of your mouth and make them more understandable. Plus, if you speak slowly, people can stop you. And because there was a couple of times where there was a phrase or a sentence I couldn't understand. And if you had paused, I could have said, wait a minute, what was that word you said? Or what was that phrase you said? And there can be more exchange. I don't know how I can explain this, but you're speaking and then listening in to make sure I'm understanding. And then you're speaking and listening in to make sure I'm understanding. Not even I'm giving you verbal clues that I'm understanding, but you can look at my face. And if I'm doing this, then that means I didn't quite catch something, right? But if I'm nodding and agreeing and coming along with you, then you know that I'm understanding. So think about speaking English not as language, but as communication. Communication. It has that word commune. It means oneness. So you and the person that is listening to you become one. And there's a flow. It's not just push, clears my words and I want to get them out so I don't forget them and I'm just done talking. But more that you say them and your community, there's a flow of energy going from you to the person or the audience and back again to you, so that there's more of a flow. And that will help you to remember what you want to say because you're more grounded. You won't be as confused. When you're ungrounded and when you're anxious and worried and looking back and forth and jetting all around, then you forget your words and you get confused. Your brain gets confused in fear and anxiety. So the more that you can get your brain to relax, to be confident, to not be nervous or anxious. It's okay if I make a mistake. It's okay if I don't have the right words. It's okay if I have to pause in order to get the words. It's okay if I ask the person if I didn't understand. It's okay. And if you can have that kind of confidence that no matter what's happening, it's okay. And that you don't have to be fast. You don't have to, throw your words out like they're, 90 miles an hour so you can get everything you want to say out. Then it will be better. Your brain will be better. You'll absorb stuff better. You'll remember stuff better. And your communication with the other person will be really good. And in fact, if you can focus on the person that you're speaking to, like I'm focusing on you right now. Everyone on this call feels like I'm focusing on them because I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking into your eyes and I am really focused. I'm not doing something else. I'm focused. And that focus can change everything. Even the Prophet Muhammad, he said, when you're talking to someone, turn your body towards them and turn your face towards them and really focus on them. And that can make the biggest difference. Many charismatic leaders charismatic leaders is like somebody you want to follow, someone that really is compelling. They make you feel like you are the only person in the room when they're talking to you. So remember, slowing down, pausing, looking at the other person, paying attention. These things can take more time, but they give more impact. they give more impact, and you feel like you are more confident, and you pull them into you rather than you having to reach out to them. They'll come to you. We call that lean in. You will get more lean in to what you are saying. Does that help?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcel, and thank you very much, Cynthia, for answering this question. So we have one more participant, Viren. He wants to ask question. Viren, unmute and you can ask your question.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Virendra Nirmalkar. So first and foremost, you're charismatic. I'm really impressed with the way you speak, because the command or the language and the thoughts that you convey, wow, wonderful. Now, my question is on the impromptu session that you were part of in Toastmasters. Even I'm a Toastmaster and I know how difficult it is. Right. So how do you get the content? Because when it comes to impromptu speeches, I go blank, and I go blank, and without any thoughts, I'm just in front of the people who are gazing onto me. How do you deal with the situation? How do you get the content to speak?
It's a process. It's definitely a process. And for almost 40 years, I was terrified of public speaking. Even if it was a prayer speech, I would just like blank out and I would talk fast so I could get out my words and get off the stage and be done with it. And when it came to table topics, impromptu speaking, oh my gosh, it was the worst thing for me. Or even giving my evaluators report, giving my the timer report, anything I had to do impromptu, I would be really nervous. When I was a child and they would have us all read out loud, and we would, each student would take another paragraph. I would count to the paragraphs that I was going to be at, and I would get sweaty and I would get red and I could barely breathe. I mean, I would feel like I could pass out. So it has to do with just being confident and relaxed. So now, because I am confident, and also because I have done a lot of impromptu speaking at my work, I was a bank examiner for the Federal Reserve, and I had to give information that I may have not even been working with. So I was the examiner in charge. Somebody else was doing mortgage loans, and they found a violation, and I had to report on the violation in front of bankers who were the board of directors of a bank. It was very intimidating. But when I relaxed and I focused on my feet and I wiggled my toes and I focused on my heart, and I focused on, I want to convey this information, especially to the bankers. I wanted to convey this information to them in a way that if it was a violation, if it was a place that they made a mistake, or hey, sometimes it's not a mistake, it was done on purpose and I caught them. I wanted them to, number one, know they need to change it. They need to change their policies, their procedures, their training of their bankers, and the way that they do things. And they need to know that they can change it. And so I focused on that. And I had a bank that had a lot of violations, and very serious violations. And I was actually assigning what they call civil money penalties. So a fine, a fee that they had to pay, which is hard enough. This was during 2008, 2009, when the global economy was falling apart and we were losing one bank a week. So paying that money was really tough because they were trying to raise capital just to keep the doors open. So that was hard first. And the second, it was publicly displayed that they made this error and that they were going to have to pay a fine. It was in the newspapers. It was in the Wall Street Journal. It was there for everyone to see making it even harder for them to raise capital. And so it was a very tense situation. So I had to focus a lot on relaxing myself and being open, yet not guarded. I needed to create an air of confidence in me and authority in me, that they could trust what I was saying was true, and they could follow my instructions and do what I asked them to do. And so I really used those techniques. And I was a yoga instructor, a martial art instructor. I teach meditation, and I used all those tools while I was speaking to the bankers. And initially, the bankers were adversarial and were saying, we didn't do anything wrong. Da, 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 da. And I was very calm, and I used their exact words to show them they do need to pay attention to this, and this was a mistake, and it needs to be corrected. I call it stepping on their shoe without taking off the shine. That you're letting them know you have authority, but you're not making them lose face. Because it's important for the CEO not to lose face in front of all of his employees and his executives and his board of directors. If I make him lose face, he's going to be my enemy, and he's not going to do what I need him to do. So it's important to really hold that. And one of the senior examiners that was reviewing me at my review, he said, Cynthia, you were like a yogi, sitting there having them eat out of your palm. And that's what helps you to know, to be able to have the words, to search for the right words. You have to be calm, relaxed. You can still be energetic and authoritative, but inside you need to be relaxed and confident. And then you can pull up, in essence, those words that are in you, because you have the words in your heart, or you have the response to that message inside of you. Maybe it's not the correct answer or the correct topic, but it's your topic. It's your message. And one person once said, Cynthia, I think you can talk about talk about anything, any subject. And she gave me a test. She said, okay, talk about the hospitality and what did she say? She said, talk about the history of pineapples. Pineapples. Those are the fruit that's the orange on the bottom, and they've got the green coming out the top, and they have them in white. And I was able to give her a 2-minute speech on the history of pineapples and how important they are. Out of the blue. I was able to pull it out of the blue. And I am not an expert on pineapples. I've been to Hawaii many times, and I love pineapples, but I'm not an expert. I didn't grow up around them. I never farmed them. I've visited farms, but I've never been involved. And I was able to, I think it might have been more like 5 minutes I was able to chatter on about pineapples. So if you want to know the subject, if you want to have a response for an impromptu speaking, just listen to your heart, tap into your heart, and you don't have to respond right away. They only start counting the clock when you make your first significant gesture or you say something. So you can just pause, check in with yourself, move your mind to your feet, wiggle your toes, connect with your heart, breathe in and out, and connect with the audience first, because maybe they have an answer that will help you. Maybe they energetically can give you the answer you need to give. And there's something very special about Toastmasters and table topics, the impromptu speaking. It's always inside of the rules, even in a table topics contest, you can hear the question and you can answer something different. You can change it to what you want to answer. And it's always good, like especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're in business or you have a career that you have information that you want to share. If you have a particular message always in your mind, how can I relate this question to my message or to my personal message, my view on the world, who I am, how I want to be in the world? If you have that always on your mind, then you can change that question to be your question that you want to answer, or how it relates to that particular question, which is even more powerful. To be able to take a question and then to manipulate it so it moves to be the answer you want to give, because you have the stage and it's your choice what you want to answer. Just know that. Be confident and know that. And there's one physical gesture. I don't know if I can do it because I'm holding my phone. They call it the Obama hug. So it's where you bring your hands. Let's see if I can show you my hands. Wait a second. Okay, here's my hands. Where you put your hands, your fingers, where your fingertips, but they'll be coming in together. Shashiraj, if you could try to do what I'm talking about, and let's see if we can show it. You put your hands together and all 5 fingertips touch all 5 fingertips.
We'll show now.
Can you speak so I can see you? There's so many people on it. I can't see. Okay, can you show me? If you put all 5 fingertips together, do you know that I'm talking about? Your right hand meets your left hand at the fingertips. They call that the Obama hug. And that not only shows confidence, it gives you confidence. When you make that gesture, especially in front of your heart, and you bring together your hands at the fingertips, so all 5 fingertips are touching all 5 fingertips, that will show more confidence and give you more confidence. Okay, does that answer your questions?
Absolutely, yes. A beautiful answer. Thanks a lot for it.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So now we have one participant, Richard.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Okay. Thank you, Shashiraj, for giving me the chance to speak. And good morning, Cynthia. I want to ask you about how to improve our brain TOEFL to higher level.
Your brain, what to higher level? What's the exact word? I couldn't hear that word.
Like high level.
Improve your brain to a high level. Well,
yeah, TOEFL.
What was that?
TOEFL.
Topper, you're talking about?
TOEFL, English test.
Oh, TOEFL. Okay.
TOEFL. Yeah, TOEFL.
So I'm not an English teacher. I am not certified and I don't know about the tests. I know that they ask about speaking and listening and writing and reading. So I can answer basic questions about that, but I'm not an English instructor. I thought about it, but it's not a route I want to go to get a master's degree in that. But I was a brain education instructor. So you asked the right question. And again, it's strange how I improve the brain through brain education, through different meditation techniques and things like that. And I actually had I taught group classes mostly for children and also adults, because it really helps senior citizens to reintegrate their brain and to prevent, possibly prevent Alzheimer's, keep their brain active and raise the concentration levels. So in brain education, you actually can turn your brain into a magnet, an actual magnet that can hold metal, like coins, metal coins on your forehead. And I had an 11-year-old private student and she was amazing. So she was American, born in America, but her first language was Chinese. Even though she was white, Caucasian, American, born in America, but her first language was Chinese because she had a Chinese caregiver. And then she learned English. And then her father, she was half German. He was German, but they all lived in the US. And so she went to German school and she learned German. So she knew Chinese, English, and German. And she was learning Japanese because she was in middle school, and the next year they were going to go to Japan. If they could learn Japanese, they could go to Japan, like on a field trip to Japan, having learned the language, or at least some of the language. So she came in and she had index cards, and on one side she wrote the Japanese character, kanji, and on the other side she wrote the English pronunciation. And she had 24 cards, and she knew only 8 of them. She had been studying, and she was a good student, so she had been studying in a regular way. She brought them in, and we used them as our focus for brain education. And within 10 minutes, she knew 22 out of 24 of those characters. And she'd been studying for hours and only learned 8. And when I would have her study, I would have her relaxed, focused concentration. Relaxed, focused concentration. And she could put a dime, a metal coin, small, light metal coin, on her forehead. And she could write with her head pointed down, write her characters in Japanese. And when the dime would fall off her head, I knew she was not relaxed. So I would stop her and I would get her into relaxed, meditative but alert meditative state. And she would put the dime on again, and we would go again. And your brain becomes smarter. And it worked for me too. So I speak a sign language. That's the only other language I speak besides English, is American Sign Language for the deaf, because 3 of my sisters were hard of hearing and they got progressively deaf. And 2 of my sisters know sign language and the other one doesn't. She just uses hearing aids or kind of fakes listening. And my sign language was not very good. In fact, I also have a nephew that's deaf as well. And he said, Auntie Cindy, please don't use sign language in public because you keep signing the wrong words and even bad words. You're embarrassing me. Please stop signing in public. Oh, it was awful. So my sister and her husband came for an open house that we had at my yoga group. And so I was going to interpret for the yoga master. And I was very grounded and my brain was magnetized because of all the exercise we were doing and the soup of the relaxation that I was in. So I sat there and relaxed concentration. I conveyed the signs beautifully. I remembered every sign. I did it correctly. And my sister at the break time, she was like, what happened? You're professional. I just am unbelievable. And then as we're in break time and I'm less connected, I start fumbling again. My words are bad and I can't sign again. And then we go back into the yoga studio and I'm connected and I'm professional again. So when you have a relaxed concentration and you're connected to that universal source. People say God or universe, that flow of energy. Your brain is smarter. and your English will improve. The more you can relax and be connected and grounded, wiggling your toes, connecting with your heart, even doing a little meditation and deep breathing before you have to speak with people that makes you nervous, new people or speaking in front of the room. That will make your brain so much smarter, and it will help you to remember things. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia.
You're
Can I
welcome.
ask you one question? Because somebody told me like I'm like an interview, because I asked them what's your like favorite film or favorite singer. They told me like a question guy, but I don't want to be that. I want to speak English. I want to be confident. That's why I just speak English. So what kind of question everyone like? You can suggest me. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And I talked about this on the last time I was on this show. There is only one question or one vein of questions that everybody wants to talk about. And it's what they want to talk about. So you had really good questions asking, what's your favorite film? Tell me about your country or your city. Maybe you shouldn't ask, like, especially if they're American. The US is huge. It's 3,000 miles across, and 3 time zones across from the West Coast to the East Coast. And then if you include Hawaii and Alaska, you've got, I think it's, there's 4 time zones in the continental US. It's 6 if you include Alaska and Hawaii. So it's gigantic. And the territory is very different from desert. I mean, we've got everything. We've got deserts, we've got snowy places, mountains, rivers, everything we have. So ask them, what's your hometown like? Because many people have moved away from their hometown to a city. So you can ask them about their hometown. Where did you grow up? What was it like there? And you could ask them about their city. Where do they live in the city? And then you could ask them about their job, or even better, their hobbies. What are you passionate about? What are you most interested in? What would you do if time and money weren't an issue? These are questions that will help people speak to you and speak to you more deeply and intimately, and they'll be more willing to talk longer. In fact,
Yeah.
you might have a hard time shutting them up, but that's what you want. You want them to talk more.
Yeah. Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. It's helped me.
Great.
So we've got one question from Ajaz Hassan. Ajaz, would you like to ask your question, or should I read? You can unmute and you can ask your question. Okay, his question is that how can we practice new word? When we get the new word, how we can bring that word in the practice?
Very good. And that's what Toastmasters word of the day is all about. They give you a word that you're supposed to use or practice. Maybe it's a new word, or maybe it's a word you know, but you're supposed to incorporate it into your speeches, into your timer report, your evaluation, whatever you speak, you're supposed to incorporate as much as you can. And they count how many times you have used the word of the day. And so it can give you a lot of recognition. Oh, Susie used that word 7 times, So that's the whole point of it. So if you, first of all, you want to understand the word and its meaning and its pronunciation. And all of that you can get from Google or the dictionary. And it's really nice when you can use the dictionary where it has a vocal description of the words, pronunciation of the word. So you can make sure that your pronunciation is the same. So because it's hard for us to listen to ourselves, it's like putting on your lipstick or shaving your face, you need a mirror, you know? No one has ever seen their nose directly, only through the reflection of the mirror. So it'd be best if you could listen to how that word's pronounced, maybe even 3 times, so you get it in your brain, and then record it and say that word maybe 3 times or in a sentence. And oftentimes the dictionary give you a sentence that it's used in. And make sure you understand that word completely, because you shouldn't try to use a word unless you understand it completely, or else you can get yourself into trouble. Using the wrong word or pronouncing it in a different way can sometimes be funny or get you into trouble. Because like with me, with sign language, I was, quote, saying the wrong word, saying the wrong sign, and I was actually saying a swear word or something like that. Like one time I was trying to tell my nephew that I run out of gasoline for my car, almost ran out of gasoline. And so I had to go get some gas, and that's why I was late. The sign for gasoline is, if you can show it, thumbs down, and then you put your thumb inside your fist of the other hand. That way. That's the correct way. Instead, I was upside down and I was putting it this way, which means something completely different. It means poop, or really a swear word, shit. So I said, I almost ran out of shit instead of I almost ran out of gas. So you have to be careful what you say, that it's pronounced the correct way and that the usage is correct. But use the dictionary, use Google, and also you can Google synonyms. Maybe you can't quite understand what the dictionary is telling you it means. So ask the dictionary for synonyms. And synonyms mean words that are similar to that word's meaning. They may sound different, but they have a similar meaning, so that you can help you to understand exactly give you some context of what that word is. Now, one of my phobias, I had 6 strong phobias for almost 40 years. And the main one was speaking and visibility, but I also was afraid of spiders and bugs of any sort. And so when I was growing up, I wouldn't look up things in the dictionary because I was afraid there'd be a picture of a bug. And I avoided them. But when they became online, that's when I started really using the dictionary and really growing my vocabulary and my pronunciation and my understanding and my meaning. And I tell you, I think, because I'm a speaker coach, and so I help speakers actually write their speeches. And so sometimes I have to come up with synonyms, or I don't know how to spell a word. I look up a word in the dictionary at least 3 times a day. And I'm a native English speaker. So you need to be willing to look up words at least 3 times a day. And if you look up the words, even if you think you know it, just look it up, find out. You might find something new, or you might ask for a synonym and learn some new words that are similar to that word. So you could say things that are more expansive. Does that make sense?
Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to say about this question, that whenever you get the new word, and sometimes you're not able to remember, you understand the meaning, you understand the pronunciation, but after some time you forget the word. So I would like to tell you the better way to memorize that word. Suppose you are going to get 3 or 4 words which are new for you. You understand the meaning, and whom you discuss, whom you debate, whom you have conversation every day, just discuss those words with your friend. Ask him to make few sentences and make sure those sentences should be in your general conversation. Just remember the conversation which you do, fit those words, those new words in that kind of conversation. In this way, you would be able to remember the words for the long time. Because when you discuss the word with someone, you could remember the conversation. And that also happens when you are talking to your friend. And if you're not using that word, so he can also remind you, okay, yesterday we discussed that word. You could also use that word. So in this way, you can memorize the word, you can remember or retain the word for the long time. So that could be the best way to do this thing. All right, thank you very much, Cynthia, for explaining the ask questions answer. Yes, Baljit, now it's your turn to ask questions. We have got Baljit. Yes, Baljit, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, good evening, ma'am. First of all, okay, I am Baljit from India. So my question is a common question that for a long time I am getting training of learning English online, right? So most of the time, okay, I get busy, talk on call or okay, watching videos. Most of the time I spend okay learning English online. Okay, so suppose that I am a professional, so I have not a practical experience. That suppose that if I work in an office, right? So or in a public place, right? Now I am expert that I can talk in a any type of a Zoom meeting or Google talk on call or on any type of okay, videos. But I have not a practical experience, right? Suppose that okay, I wanna talk in an office with my colleagues or with my boss. So at that time, I feel nervous. Sometimes when I get any call and I am on the public place, like on a railway station or bus stand. So at that time, I feel nervous because I have no practical experience. Okay. Yeah, at that time, okay, I feel nervous and I don't think that, okay, my facial expression that I am in full confidence, right? Yesterday I was talking with one type of caller. He is my English speaker. Sometimes we talk, and so he is a general manager in a government office. So I just asked a normal question that, sir, whenever you get free time, so you talk with your colleague or your boss, then his English is very good. Okay, he is able to communicate in English, but he can't speak. Okay, in front of the colleague, with the colleague or with the boss. So I just wanna know how can we get practical experience. Okay, so that we can feel comfortable or full confidence that on public place or in our office or like that. Yeah, this is my question, ma'am.
I have one word. Practice, practice, practice. Practice listening. Listen a lot. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. More important, babies listen. They listen, 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 listen. Even when they're in the womb, they listen. In fact, if a mother is pregnant and she goes to college and listens to lectures, the baby hears those lectures too and absorbs that information. Listening is so important. Listen, listen, listen to as much as possible to native English speakers. Listening to movies. And when you have the movies on, also have the English captions on, because you want to train your ears and your mouth and your eyes at the same time. So Shashiraj had an excellent tip about how to retain your vocabulary, how to remember your vocabulary, to speak it with your friend, have them speak it, so that you're listening and you're speaking and you're remembering. You're kind of getting in the soup of it, like when cooking, you can cook a vegetable by itself and it tastes different than if you put it inside a soup, because a soup, all of that information mixes together. Or you can think about a tea bag. If you steep it inside the hot water for a long time, then it infuses it. So you want to infuse yourself with English. That's why most non-native English speakers that go away and go to college in America or Canada or the US, they have better English speaking skills than ones that stayed at home and still studied English because they were immersed in it. They were like in a soup. So they had all of that coming into them, even in their cells, they experienced that. But you can simulate that by every day, either listening to a English speaking movie or TV show with the words written on there, because sometimes actors don't speak very good English and you can't quite understand what they're saying, or they're fast. So listen to the TV show or the movie and also read the words. And then as much as possible, speaking, even with yourself, just record. Like a lot of times in WhatsApp group, there's read and records. So read and then record that. And excuse me, and listen to how you're speaking. Am I saying those words correctly? You could even take a recording. You could listen to a line from an actor in a movie or a TV show, and you record yourself and see, does my accent sound like their accent? The words sound similar. So you can practice even with yourself. You can practice speaking English and listening to English every single day. And the more comfortable you'll get with it, the more exposure you have, the more comfortable and confident you will get with it. And then also do those things physically, like deep breathing, letting your mind rest on your feet, focusing on your feet, wiggling your toes, focusing on your heart. And even the Obama hug, tapping your fingers together, will give you more confidence. And just know, I can speak English. Maybe my grammar's not correct, but there's a lot of native English speakers that speak incorrect grammar. I do myself. And maybe I haven't chosen exactly the right word, or maybe I haven't pronounced it, but you know what? I'm speaking English and I'm going to keep speaking English. I'm confident with it. And the more I do it, the more I'm going to get better at it. Malcolm Gladwell says it takes 10,000 hours. That's about 8 hours. I think it's about 8 hours a day for 5 years to become a master at something. So it just takes practice. I'm a child of the 70s, and we used to have in the playground, we had these merry-go-rounds that were metal merry-go-rounds that you had to spin yourself. You'd put your friends on them and you'd run around and you push them really hard. They wouldn't go very far, very fast the first time. But then you keep spinning and keep spinning and keep spinning. And soon they're going super fast and you just have to keep tapping to keep it going. Same thing with your English practice. Immerse yourself in the soup of English as much as you can, as much time as you can. And you can do it by yourself, by listening to TV shows and movies and YouTube, primarily with native English speakers. You can train your ear on how it sounds, but they all sound different. They all have different accents, but that at least you'll get used to that American accent. And you should separate and decide if you want to learn to speak American English or British English, because they're very different languages. And it can confuse the brain when you try to listen to both. So just choose. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Just choose one and try as often as you can to listen to either American English or British English. And that will give you that ability to be in the soup of it and to become immersed in it, like you're swimming in English. And then it will become easier and easier. Your brain will start to go that way. Does that help?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ajit,
Good luck to you.
I would like to tell you something.
Yes, sir.
There are two things. When people are good in telephonic, when they are listening over the phone or talking over the phone or talking online, they are good. And when they are talking someone facially, so they lose their confidence.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes people are very good facially. They can have healthy conversation facially, but they lose their confidence when they are talking over the phone or in the Zoom meeting. All right. So two different things we have. So if you are expert, you have confidence talking in Zoom meeting, but you lose your confidence when you talk face to face. For that matter, I would like to tell you how you can bring all these things practically. You just need to do one thing. Take the newspaper of English or any kind of newspaper. Read the classified advertisements, where some advertisements are related to interview or any kind of queries. Go to their office, talk to them, give your interview, not for getting the job, only for the conversation. Go through all the rounds. Think that how much you are able to clear the rounds. How many rounds you are able to clear. And you can also go to other offices for learning English speaking, or learning computer languages or other things. Go and talk to them, get the queries and exaggerate the matter. How much you are exaggerate, how much you are able to talk up. So in this way, you can have the practical knowledge, practical conversation. And if you talk about the flip side, that you are losing your confidence when you're talking over the phone. So a lot of toll-free numbers are available. A lot of electricals companies, brands are there. So start making calls on toll-free numbers, exaggerate the matter, tell your issues, your fake problems, right? And shout them, scold them. In this way, you could be the expert. You could build up your confidence.
That's great.
Yes, sir. Actually, yeah, this method I used. Okay. On telephonic, many times online, I choose a number, especially for IELTS preparation or TOEFL. So like this, that I wanna go to abroad and okay, I wanna join your institute, and they call me many times. Okay, so I get full practice, full session in one call. Like this. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Yes. So we have got our participants, Helio from Brazil. Just Helio, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions, ask your queries. He himself is an expert English teacher. Yes, Helio, that's your turn.
Hello, guys. Good morning from Brazil. How's it going? It's all good?
Great. Great. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's my pleasure listening to you, Cynthia. You look to be a wonderful girl. You got my heart at first glance because I can see on you the happiness of sharing information. I think that's the most important thing, to share information. Okay, I became a teacher. I studied for this, but I think there are more deeper things, you know, when you see someone, when you smile to this person, or for example, my student, he is Luis. Say hi, Luis. Yeah, I'm at work this time, but I'm watching you, and I could be a sin losing this show because I feel so glad when I meet you guys, Shashiraj and Huang, because you are great masters. You've been doing an absolutely great job. You've been doing very well. You're amazing. And you, Cynthia, you saying words that make me more motivated as a teacher, you know, because everything you say, I'm practicing with my students. It's just a confirmation that what a master that loves what he does must do. You know, not just to be so formal with all the grammar rules of the English language. See, it's
Very
like,
good broadcaster voice you've got there.
really, it's like you see, most of Brazilian students suffers with this because most of the teachers shows themselves as a god of the Olympus, you know.
Yes,
And the
yes.
English language, it's impossible to learn. No, it's not true. It's not true. When a master smiles to his pupils, I think deeper things happens in their hearts, you know, because you can not just teach but share, you know. And on the same way you teach, you learn. And at the
Yes,
same-
yes. Best way to learn something is to teach it.
yeah. And when I see them, for example, Luis is my student, I feel every day more motivated to share my knowledge, you know, and the things that I've learned. And I tell them that I want to be the teacher for them that I never had in my childhood.
Great.
You know, but God bless you, Cynthia, because you just confirm me a lot of things and some questions that I have myself, you know, when the master has your inner time, you know, time to think, you know, if I'm been doing a good job and I'm trying to express myself, going forward as a teacher, you know, going further, more than a teacher, just a friend of these kids because they are our future. And
Correct.
if I have some good to share with them, I'll do it, and I'll do it. And guys,
when you tap into your heart, you might find a different answer. A different answer that maybe that particular student needs, or some new information that you never thought of. So the heart is very wise. Wise in some ways, wiser than our brain. And it actually has more neurons in the heart than the brain has. So it is like a second brain. But when we use it well, it can teach us so much. I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Alchemist, but he says to talk to your heart and learn the wisdom of your heart.
yeah,
And it's by
you're-
Paulo Coelho. I think he's from Brazil. Isn't Paulo Coelho from Brazil? I think so.
Evaluators from Brazil as well.
What was that?
Evaluators.
You both are from Brazil.
Both are
Yeah.
from Brazil. Ah, okay. Okay. So The Alchemist is a very good story. And real, if you can read that, and it's on audio, so you can listen to it.
Yeah.
And you can really share. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, guys. You are amazing. And I just to show something to, where is Azita? Is she there in the show?
She's here.
Here. Kita.
Nice glasses, Azita. Wonderful lady. Guys, I must go. And I have no adjectives to express my happiness, but you've been doing a great job, guys. Thank you so much. You had opened doors and windows and make bridges for me that, guys, you're unforgettable in my heart. Thank you so much.
I have also, just wait, Helio. I have also one question. Like when you are overexcited, when you are over happy, so that moment you also forget the adjectives. So what is the solution of this question?
Talking about, oh guys, oh God. Well,
how could one say thanks? Like he doesn't have all the words, all the adjectives, how to appreciate the people. And he becomes the silent or becomes the emotional. But he wants to speak. He's not able to speak.
Yeah,
no
I think,
words.
yeah, no words. For example, our body talks, right? And when you smile to someone, it's better than any words, you know? Because as a Christian guy that I am, I believe that our eyes are the windows of our souls. See, and when someone see your face and see your smile and your eyes like this, like this, so stretching, smiling, you see that frequency. You receive all these good vibes, and I have no words to express myself.
I could feel the cosmic rays which are coming from your side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Miss
They
Wong,
emanate from your heart. The heart sends out a vibration, a magnetic vibration. In fact, after 9/11, the scientists could measure a change in the magnetism of the earth coming from all the compassion from the human hearts.
Yeah.
And even animals can feel it as if it's a physical reaction. When you have love and peace and joy and also anger and depression, they feel its pain.
Yeah, sure. I'll try all the time to express myself to my students because they see how much I love to share information, That's the way my body talks, guys. Oh, come on.
Yes. Your body language.
That's the point.
Great. Keep up the good work and being joyful at teaching and sharing and learning from your students.
Thank you so much. I receive everything in my mind and in my heart. Thank you so much, Inta. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So we have one more participant, Wasim Khalid. So Wasim, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thank you, Shashiraj. First of all, I'm really thankful to you for holding such a nice meeting because it's been 2 hours almost, and I didn't feel bored at any moment. So that is so nice of you. You are bringing gem into this meeting. And I'm also thankful to Cynthia that she's here. She is a charismatic speaker. And she is having a very lenient and pleasing personality. And I would like to say a question and would like to tell something like, I'm in a habit of weeping whenever I'm teaching my students. And if they feel any kind of problem or they are departing from me, I start weeping. And this is really strange. Sometimes I cannot overwhelm myself. So how could I control myself? And the second thing is that I feel a little bit problem whenever I'm speaking to American or any native speaker. Whenever they are speaking very fast, it is unable to catch their words. What should I do? Once I said that, like there was one person, he was a native speaker and he was speaking too fast. And I said that, sir, I'm unable to understand you, but the real thing is that you need to come up to my level to make me understand. If you are speaking fast, I'm unable to understand. What is the point of speaking here? So you should come up to my level. And if you're a really good speaker, you should not mind it. So what do you think about this answers? Are the questions which I raised here. Thank you very much.
Sure. I'll answer the last one first, okay? I think it's Dale Carnegie. He talks about the 7 habits of a highly effective person. And one of the habits is seek first to understand and then to be understood. So even though that other person is speaking too fast and they need to slow down, you need to first focus yourself, relax, ground yourself, breathe deeply, move your mind to your feet, wiggle your toes, and focus on your heart. And when you do that, even just that, even though you haven't uttered a word, you will change them energetically. You will help them to slow down, because one of the reasons they might be speaking too fast is because they're nervous. It may just because they're nervous. Then you can also say to them, and very sincerely, that's really important, I really want to understand what you're saying. And when you're speaking quickly, I can't catch all your words because I'm not a native English speaker. I'm just learning English. But if you will slow down, then I can hear and understand what you're saying, because what you're saying is very important to me and I want to understand it. So that way, it's not that you're like admonishing them for talking too fast, but you're letting them know how important they are to you and their words are to you. And that will make them, they will have a feeling like, wow, this person's really listening to me and really wants to listen to me. And they will slow down and they will match you energetically. Because remember, the heart, the Earth's magnetic pulse or whatever it is, magnetism, was changed by humans' heart's compassion. Remember the power of the heart. When you convey that, you will have a deeper conversation with that person. And maybe when they slow down, they will not only slow down, they will drop down into their heart, from being up in their head and trying to toss fast and blah, 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 to, oh, you really want to hear what I have to say? Wow. Because not many people have really been listened to, really been looked at and heard and focused on. And that's powerful. In physics, they say the observer affects the observed. They actually change the way a particle is experienced by looking at it. The same thing. When you really look at someone, when you really are listening to them, when you're really focused on them, that will change them and you. So focus on your heart. Really believe and feel that this person is important to me. I really want to hear what they have to say. And they will feel it and most likely slow down. Maybe even before you ask them to slow down. Maybe they will slow down when they feel you concentrating on them, really listening to them. It can change everything. I once saw Dr. Martin Luther King on a TV show. It was like an interview show, and there was him and 3 white guys on a panel, and the host was a white guy. And one of the white guys was an extreme racist. And the words that he was using and the look that he was giving, it was almost as if he was throwing darts at Dr. King's heart. I mean, it was that palpable. But Dr. King didn't respond with hatred or anger. He responded with respect and love. And he got it in return. At least from the other panelists and the host, they in turn had respect and love for his respect and love. So even if someone is saying hateful things to you or terrible things to you, ground yourself in your heart and know that you're okay, and know that you are loved, and that you, like a shield of love and protection, and give back only love, and it will change. It will change that person that you're talking to. That's actually my top recommendation. I was a champion of the district in evaluations. And so I've been training people how to evaluate other speakers. And my super tip is to look at that speaker, even if you've never met them before in your life. Look at them as your beloved, as your spouse or your sister or your brother or your cousin or your nephew, someone that means a lot to you and you want them to grow, so you can give them the information about what they did well and what they could do as a stretch goal to make their speech even better and inspire them and motivate them to speak and to speak even better. So use the power of your heart, the power of love, the power of confidence, of relaxation, knowing that you're okay and that whatever comes out of your mouth is whatever comes out of your mouth. But you know how to communicate. You know how to tap into your heart, human heart to human heart, and convey your message. Does that help?
Thank you very much, Cynthia. I think that helps a lot. So we are moving to one more participant, Khan Jahan. Khan Jahan, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
And Jahan from Bangladesh, unmute yourself.
He's trying to. There you go.
Hello, ma'am. So, thank you for nominating me. Thank you. So my question is, whenever I'm just I have to in front of my friends, feeling empty of vocabs or something like that. So I knew so many vocabs, but I can't apply this time. So what I should do about this? And I have another one and problem like that. Whenever anyone asks me something like that, I should elaboration, but I couldn't do that. So what should I do this time? And I also feel whenever I just talking with you, I just feeling, something like that, uncomfortable or hesitation, something like that. So for this matter, what should I do?
And I have found with most of the English language learners I've met that their problem is not with English, it's with fear. It's with an uncomfortable feeling, a nervousness. So the more you can relax, deep breathe, bring your mind to your feet, focusing on your feet, wiggling your toes, focusing on your heart, and focusing on a clear intention. My intention is to talk with this person and for them to understand me and for me to understand them. And that's all I want. I want to communicate. I don't want to focus on the words that I'm saying or not saying. I want to communicate, even if I have no words, because sometimes deepest concepts that we have no words. Even in our own native language, we have no words for them. So focus on the language of the heart, which is more symbols and energy and creating a picture for them. Kind of like communicating with animals. Animals, even if some people are animal intuitives and they actually talk to the animals, but sometimes they can convey their message to us without language. My father-in-law bought his grandson a snake. It was not a harmless snake. It was called a corn snake or something it's called. And it was fairly new, and it was in a big tank on top of the television in the living room. And he had a cat. And my father-in-law said, he thought the cat was hungry. But then, and this cat was always hungry. This cat would eat anything, anytime, okay? It would eat. But when he tried to feed the cat refused the food, probably for the first time in his life. The cat was trying to convey to my father-in-law that the snake was hungry. Because snakes only eat like once a week or every other week, and they eat mice, and it's a big production. And he conveyed to my father-in-law, I am not hungry. That snake is hungry. He needs to be fed. So that was the language of the heart, not even a human heart. That was from human to cat to snake to cat to human. So you can communicate. And he's not, my father-in-law is not specially trained or anything. He's not a psychic. Every human has this. Every human has this, and every animal has this. And if you can tap into your heart, you can communicate with them, no matter if you have words or not. And it will magnetize your brain when you have relaxed concentration. It will magnetize your brain, so you can even hold a metal on your forehead because it's magnetized, and you will be smarter and better able to convey your information. And like me, was not all thumbs, but was professionally signing because I was connecting. I was connected, and I could convey that information. Does that help, or did you have any more questions?
Yeah, now we don't have any questions.
No, ma'am. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, thank you very much, Khan.
No, thank you.
So I think that
I would like to say, Ms. Hong, thank you for conducting sorry for interrupt.
Thank you very much. So Eduardo is raising his hand. So Eduardo, now you can ask your question.
Yes, and so when we are speaking in publicness, sometimes we are afraid about the things that people will think about us, and so we become nervous because of this. Yeah, but to be prepared in order to overcome our fear, we can go out earlier until the place we are supposed to be in public speaking. Yeah, and so, and how do you try to overcome this fear, Cynthia?
It's a process. It's step by step. And okay. Sometimes it's just plain fear. And fear, you can take some of those tips, breathe deeply, let your brain, your mind fall to your feet, focus on your feet, wiggle your toes, and that will make a difference. But sometimes it's more than fear. Sometimes it's because what you're saying is so important to you that you shake. Your whole body shakes. I had this experience, like my soul was shaking. And I was standing in front of 60 people. I was presenting some information. And my message is, your people are waiting for you. And in fact, they're praying for you. They're praying for someone with you that has your unique gifts and talents and that can share those with them. And you are the answer to their prayers. And it was the first time I shared this information publicly and was offering my speaking training. And I wasn't afraid. I know fear. I lived with fear for almost 40 years. I knew I wasn't afraid, but I was shaking. My body was shaking. My lips were quivering. My words almost couldn't come out of my mouth. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I seemed to be afraid when I wasn't. And I was about 4 hours away from home. And after giving that speech, I had to drive home through the mountains. So I'm by myself, and so I start talking to God, and I say, God, what happened there? Why was I afraid? Why was I shaking in my boots? Well, I wasn't afraid, but why was I shaking? And God said, this information is the most powerful information you have ever shared. And it's because it means so much to you that your soul was quivering and shaking and your body was shaking. And I started to cry. And even now I get tears in my eyes because it was so precious to me. It was so important to me that I share that your people are waiting for you. They're praying for you. They want your message, so you need to speak. And I said to God, okay, that's great. That's great that it's so important to me. That's great that my soul is shaking because it's so important to me. But who's going to buy from me? Who's going to hire me to teach them how to speak when I'm shaking like a leaf and I can't get my words out highly and I'm crying? Who's going to hire me? And God said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Call your friend, Rebecca. It's like, Rebecca? And Rebecca is a publisher of books. And I call her the Oprah Winfrey of the entrepreneurial set. And I said, but Rebecca's going to be doing her radio show right now. This is the time for her radio show. She won't even answer the phone. And God said, call Rebecca. Okay. So I call Rebecca. And she answers. And I said, well, why did you answer? You're supposed to be on your radio show. She said, no, I pre-recorded this week because I'm at a conference in Dallas, Texas. And I just came up to my room for a break. And I answered your phone call. And I said, well, guess who told me to call you? God told me to call you and tell you what happened to me. Sorry, my nose is running because I'm teary-eyed. And I told her what happened. And she said, you need to be honest with your audience. You need to tell them why you're shaking, why you're crying, why you're so moved. And they will feel that and be compelled by that. And they will hire you to be their speaking coach. And it was so true. So the next time that happened, I put my hand on my heart. I focused on my feet. I put my mind at my feet. I wiggled my toes. I breathed. And I said, this is so important to me. This message that your people are waiting for you is the most important message in my life that I can convey. I know your people are waiting for you. And in fact, whenever I meet with speakers that have a message, I can feel all of the people that are waiting for their message. And that's part of the reason I cry. Because they're waiting, they're praying, and you are the answer to their prayers. God is merciful, and God will answer their prayers any way he can, but he can best answer their prayers with you, because they're those people you are meant to serve. Like your thumbprint, your message is unique. It's just lines, it's just skin, but every single thumbprint has been unique for every human that has ever lived and will ever live. It's unique like a snowflake. And your people that need to hear your message in your way, even if you're a photographer or a graphic designer, and there's thousands of them, you can deliver your gift, your message that's perfect for the people that are waiting for you. And I can feel them. And it compels me to speak. Knees knocking, lips quivering, can't get my words out of my mouth, almost passing out. I was determined to speak because I wanted to share my message that your people are waiting for you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Eduardo?
Yes, you answered my question. That's
Okay.
nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cynthia and Eduardo. So the thing is this, now we are just about to end the meeting. So, but Alam has raised his hand. So Alam, you could ask your questions and Cynthia, you could answer. Yes, Alam. Please ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much once again. Nowadays, women are taking too much challenges. They are involving too much challenging job. So my question to you, when I talking before any kind of women, I feel shy. How I could remove this kind of shyness? What do you think?
So I want to catch it. You want to remove what from that exchange?
Shyness.
Shyness.
Yes.
Shyness. Okay. Yeah. That's a really great question. And I think it's a really important one because men and women, more than ever, I believe, in human society, we have to work together on many projects in the home, but also at work, in organizations, and we have to gain the knowledge from women have very specific characteristics and attributes to contribute to society. And actually, scientific studies have shown that giving $1 to a male entrepreneur versus $1 to a female entrepreneur, especially in developing countries, if you give the $1 to the female entrepreneur, you have 10 times the investment in the community and the GDP, the gross national product, as giving it to a male entrepreneur. And I believe that part of that is because women are more communal and men are more independent. And so, for example, if you give a woman $1 and she puts it towards buying a sewing machine, that sewing machine, if she gets it, will not only be used by her, it will be used by her aunts, by her cousins, by her girlfriends, by her daughters. They will share it. And that sewing machine will be used probably 24 hours a day for 7 days. Whereas with a man, they're a little more independent. This is my sewing machine or my computer, whatever it is that they're using, and it's more independent feeling. They're single focused and more independent. So the contributions of women to our society can be huge. And in fact, they did a study of emergency room hospital patients, and they found that if the emergency room hospital patient had a female doctor versus a male doctor, they had 40% more chance of surviving. 40%. That's huge. And in fact, when I shared that information, one of my male friends changed his doctor to a woman. And this is the same for corporations. They have found corporations that have at least 2 female directors serving on their board of directors, again, their revenues increase by 40%. 40%. So women have a huge contribution to make to society. So we need to learn how to talk with them and how to understand them and how to get along. And especially in computers, more modern life, it's more of a male thing to do rather than a female thing to do. But the very first person to invent what was the beginnings of our computers was a woman. Her last name was Lovelace. I can't remember her first name, but like in the 1800s, and it was a woman. And I don't know if you've watched the movie or read the book, Hidden Figures. It was actually a woman that helped the Americans to get to the moon. Without the woman that worked on that team, they would have died. They would have burned up in the test. And they knew it. So it's important to incorporate women and to respect women and to hear what they have to say and their contribution, because we have very different perspectives on things. I believe we are fundamentally different, men and women, and we have different things to contribute. So when you're talking to a woman, same thing. Just be relaxed. Just breathe. Put your mind at your feet, wiggle your toes, and open your heart. Open your heart to receive the information she has to give. Because sometimes, too, the women may be more hesitant to talk to you and nervous as well. And if you have an open heart, they will feel that. They will feel that you want to listen to them and hear from them and get that information from them so that you can both be better. I think you cannot have a society with free men if you don't have free women. We both have to be empowered to empower each other. It doesn't work. When you walk the dog with a leash, who is captured? The dog and the human. There's both sides to that. So free men can only be free and empowered when women are also free and empowered. But we have different roles, different perspectives, and we all can contribute and make our society better. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Alam. Are you satisfied with the answer of Cynthia? Okay, a few lines I would like to add. Make sure whenever you are going to have conversation with any women, you should have few things in your mind all the time, that you cannot be the winner in debate with her. Listen her carefully and do not do argument. If she's saying something is wrong, accept and admit it, right? If it is wrong, just visualize, imagine, and correct yourself. Do not try to make her correct. She would correct herself. Okay? And always, one thing always can keep in your mind, that you should have great respect for the women. That moment you can have conversation with women. When you admit and accept her all the time, definitely she will be talking to you, should have interest with you. And two things are important. One is open-ended conversation and close-ended conversation. When you have open-ended conversation attitude, that moment always appreciate her speech, always welcome her whenever she wants to share something with you, whether you have interest listening her or not. But you should be open-ended conversation. You should have good expressions, healthy expressions on your face, listening to her. So that is my suggestion for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashiraj.
Thank you very much.
Great.
So now the thing is this, almost people, they have asked the questions, and now we are going to end the sessions. And is there anyone who wants to say thanks, who wants to say something about our sessions today? He or she may unmute and speak about our sessions today, and do not ask any question. Anyone? Anyone? Yes, Shirley, please share your experience about our sessions.
Yes, sir. I am thankful for being part of this meeting with our guests. Ma'am Cynthia, thank you so much. I have two questions, but you explained it very well, like what are the things that motivate you in order to overcome your fear of public speaking, but you speak very well and you explain it very well. So one thing I never forget is like what you said, that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we have to listen more and understand more than to speak. So maybe just like God created 2 ears and 1 mouth, it is because he wants us to listen more. So thank you so much, Mom. And I really appreciate the way you explained everything.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank
What country are you from, Cheryl?
I am from Philippines, Mom.
I thought so. Yeah. My brother-in-law is Filipino. He's Ilocano.
Oh, wow.
And my face is white, but my stomach is Asian. I love all Asian food, Indian food, Filipino food. So I love chicken adobo and pancit, lumpia, and all those wonderful. Thanks. Great.
All right, so
Nice
Tanu,
to meet you.
yes, Tanu, now it's your turn. Do not ask any question. You can speak anything else. Yes, Tanu.
Okay, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Tanu, you can turn on your camera.
Okay. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'm not going to ask any question. I'm just sharing my opinion that you once said that the people's fear for people is not English. Their fear is coming on the stage and say something. This is the man fear. And I think it is true because I'm also suffering with that. When I am a learner, and sometimes many times I feel inferior whenever I put my opinion towards the people. Then my legs started to shaking and my voice is also sick. So I think it's true. The man fear is the stage. That the people are not ready to go to the stage and put their opinion. Yes, ma'am, that's it. Yes, I agree with that point.
And I was the same way, and I don't speak any other languages. So it wasn't an English problem. It was a fear problem. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
your lips quiver
Thank
and your knees are shaking. It's going to be okay.
Thank you very much, Tanu, for speaking. Yes, now we have Azita. Azita, you can speak now.
Thank you, Shashiraj, for invite Cynthia to our meeting. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for your good advice to us and for your suggestion, good suggestion. I learned a lot of things from you, and thanks for sharing your experience with us. You are so kind person. I appreciate your kindness and being here as a host. Thank you so much. Nice to see you all. Thank you, Shashiraj, for inviting these kind of guests. They are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Azita, for speaking. So now I would like to ask Dr. Huang to speak about today's sessions. Yes, Dr. Huang, are you here?
Hello, I'm here. Thank
Good
you.
to see you, Dr. Huang.
Hi, Cynthia and everyone. So I have just finished my dinner because I support our small kids today on Zoom meeting with Azista's sons and other kids from India, Bangladesh, and different countries, Vietnam as well. Yeah, today I have that section on Saturday and Sunday. I remember that I had invited you to join that meeting, right?
Yes.
I'm so happy. I'm so excited to see you here today as well. for sharing your knowledge, your kindness, and a lot of experience and inspiration here for our member. That's very useful and helpful for us. Yeah, especially when learning new language. Learning new language not easy, right? So we are not able to be like an expert or master in one day, 1 month, or even a year. So we have to keep improving and practicing and communicating, especially with a lot of people like you. People can spend time, make the efforts, dedication to support other people as well, right? So that's amazing journey we have had together. I can say that. So thank you so much, sister. I really appreciate your help and the support for our community here. I don't know how long we can handle and run this meeting, maybe this year or next year, but right now we enjoyed our moment and we are supporting each other. Amazing. Thank you so much for the kindness once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Huang. And I would like to thanks to Cynthia Stott, who has taken out the precious time out of her daily routine. I think that after 4 or 5 months, now you are here to talk with us, and you have shared your life's experience over here with us, and participants were also excited to talk to you, and they have a lot of queries, a lot of questions, and still people have some queries, but we don't have more time to continue the sessions. We have also some limit. So thank you very much once again, Cynthia, for coming in our sessions. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it has been truly my pleasure. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I really love all the questions that you asked. You were so vulnerable and honest with your questions, and I so appreciate that. And that you were receptive to what I had to say, and excited for what I had to say. When an audience is excited for the speaker, it helps the speaker to tell more, to be more real, to be more honest, to go deeper. And you provided me that opportunity. And I just so thank you, Shashiraj, for inviting me and for arranging it. We're back and forth on WhatsApp trying to figure out the time and everything. And also for Dr. Huang for inviting me originally so that I can come here. And also to Wei Lin. I don't know if he's on the phone yet still. He was on at the beginning, but he was the reason that I first came, because I wanted to make sure he got connected with Dr. Huang and got onto her show so he could learn English. And he recently took a test for his scholarship and hoping that he passes it. I think he finds out in a few weeks. So I'm so happy for him, for him providing me the opportunity to come to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So guys, I request you all people to turn on camera, and we will be taking one picture, and after that we'll end the meeting. And you can also say good night. And you can also say best wishes to everyone. Yes, please turn on your camera, everybody.
Good night from my side.
Good night.
Good
Have a great
night.
night.